Hi, I'm Pastor Andrew, and I'm here at Faith Baptist, and I'm just here with Mike, and we're chatting about, sharing the gospel with others and what that actually looks like. And Mike, you were talking to me about you had an opportunity to share the gospel with a particular individual. Now, sharing the gospel can be daunting. It can be scary. It can be, almost making you not want to share. What are some things that you did before you had an opportunity to share the gospel? What are some things that you did to help with that?
Yeah, so oftentimes we focus on like prayer. So I was definitely focusing on that and reading my Bible and trying to understand like what would people ask me, right? Or what, or how do we share the gospel? Like, do we just try and make it casual, or do I try and just throw out a big question, or do I take a different angle, like try and just what are people thinking about and kind of take that approach and then share the gospel?
Yeah.
Or do you just listen to conversations and then try and just hey, have you ever heard the biblical side of that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which is often the approach I took. But yeah, it was just often prayer in my mind, like just God, you open the doors and lead me and give me the boldness and the strength to say what you want me to say.
Yeah, and that's foundational, right? To be able to before we have any conversation, say, God, I need you to help me. I need this to be you, and that can reassure us so easily, and that's fantastic. So after you did kind of some of those things, why don't you tell us a little bit? Tell us the story. Tell us what happened, how the conversation went.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I was doing a job actually, and I had to be at Life 100.3 for their prayer meeting, and I didn't want to do this job because I knew I had to be at Life, and I thought it was going to go long, and so I said, God, your will, help me to get this done and get to Life on time, be able to be at the prayer meeting. And I kid you not, I walked into the house, like 5 minutes later, I was in my car thinking, man, I still got like an hour. What am I going to do with my time? And so I was just kind of praying, like, God, what should I do for the time? I'm not going to drive home. And I went to Tim Hortons, went to the corner, just down the road from Life, went to Tim Hortons. And I'm sitting in my truck. I'm like, okay, Lord, so now what? And okay, well, go into Tim Hortons. So I went into Tim Hortons. I sat down with my Bible, and I sat there and, opened my Bible, and just something felt odd, right? And I said, okay, fine, I'm going to go to Life. I'll just go early and just see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I walked out of Tim's. I walked into my truck, and I look up, and at the Max across the road, I see this kid crying on the sidewalk. And I was like, oh, okay, that's sad. And I put the key in the ignition. I turned the car on. And I was like, okay, fine, Lord, I'll go talk to him.
I'll do it.
So I turned the key off, and I walked up and I chatted with him. I said, hey, what's going on? Like, my name's Mike. You want to talk? Like, what's going on? And he said, my cousin just killed himself. And he said, I don't know what to do. And he was like, just like sobbing, right?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's tough. I said, do you have family around, like somewhere you could go? And he said, no, I don't have anybody. My mom's divorced, and she lives far away, and we don't get along, and I just don't know what to do.
Right.
And there was people walking by, and you could tell like they were bothered by the fact that this kid was sobbing, which bothered me. And so I said, I got to go to Life. We're going for a prayer meeting. Do you know what that is? And he said, no. I said, well, prayer meeting. I said, we're Christians. We believe in God, and we're going to Life to pray. I said, would you like to come with me if you don't have anything else to do? And he said, well, okay, sure, right? And so he hopped in my truck, and I drove him to Life, and I showed him around the radio station. We introduced him to David Mann, and David and I sat down, and we opened the Bible, and we're like, so like, what do you believe? Like, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Tell us everything. And he opened right up and just shared with us, and we had about that time, it was like a half an hour probably till the meeting.
Yeah.
And he came into the meeting with us, and I said, you don't have to pray. If you don't feel comfortable praying, you just sit there, don't have to pray. Okay, no problem, he says.
Yeah.
So we all went around the table for about an hour and a half, praying for Life, praying for the ministry, praying for everything. And mid-prayer, I get a tap on my hand. Can I pray? I said, yeah, absolutely. Right?
Oh, wow.
Go ahead, pray.
Yeah.
So he prayed. And afterwards, another guy who was sitting right beside us, I won't say his name, but he turned and he said, who's your friend, Mike? And I told him what happened and the story, and he shared the gospel with him again. And he said to him, "Would you like to put your faith and hope in Jesus Christ?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yes, I do. I want to."
Oh, wow.
And so, there was 3 or 4 of us there,
Yeah.
and we prayed with him. He prayed, confessed,
Yeah.
and believed in Christ. And it was surreal. I drove him home back to his house, and I said, "Sunday, if you want, I'll pick you up for church." And he's like, "Yep, absolutely." So
Yeah.
I went back Sunday. I picked him up for church.
Oh, wow.
And we brought him to church, and introduced him to a whole bunch of people,
Yeah.
and never heard from him again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking, to be honest. Witnessing somebody right at the end, feeling hopeless, everybody walking by them, and being able to share the gospel, them accept it, come to church on fire, gave them a Bible,
Yeah.
and didn't come back, right?
And then nothing.
And a year went by, and I couldn't stop thinking about him, and I would pray for him every once in a while. And I finally said, like, what happened? Like, I just wonder what happened, right?
Yeah.
And David Mann actually tried to drop off some muffins for him, and like couldn't connect with him. It was very weird. And so I finally looked him up on Facebook, and I actually found out on his posts that he killed himself the week after he came to church with us.
Wow.
He died. He passed away. And so it was that hope, like it was that, like God's perfect sovereignty.
Yeah.
That I'm always so busy, and oftentimes my day is jam-packed, and I had 1 hour of free time. God, what do you want to do with this hour?
Yeah.
And here I shared the gospel with this kid and accepted the Lord. And obviously, like, there were so many other issues going on in his life.
Yeah.
But, that hope that, maybe God used that moment, and we'll see him in heaven.
Yeah.
Right?
That's powerful. It's crazy when you start thinking through, we're busy from one point to the next point to the next point, and we're always busy. And whenever we have that time, we're like, we get impatient, and it's that mindset of, okay, God, what do you want next? And I think it's so freeing to know that no matter what happens, God is in control. Finish this sentence for me. Sharing the gospel with him has encouraged me in my faith by
reminding me that God's timing is perfect, and that reminder that I need to make time every day for God to do his will.
Yeah.
It's encouraged me, and I'm going to share a little something that I heard that somebody told me not that long ago. It was don't make time to invite God into your day.
Yeah.
Let God invite you into his day.
Yeah.
Right? It's all his time.
It's all
right.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be prepared.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a powerful story. Mike, I want to thank you for sharing and letting us know into that conversation. Sharing the gospel can be hard. It can be daunting, as I've said already. However, as you've already said, God is sovereign. His timing is sovereign. And so we are just called to share the gospel, and God is the one who saves. And that's freeing for us. And so I pray that you were encouraged by Mike's obedience. And I look forward to hearing more stories from you guys of sharing the gospel with others. With sharing the gospel, it can be scary. And so we have resources, we have tools, and we have things that can help you in sharing the gospel with others. And so if you have questions, if you need to get your hand on those, feel free. Reach out to us, and we would love to be able to get those into your hands and walk with you as you share the gospel with others. Thanks.
Thank you.